2014 claimant, courtesy of Ms. Hall. Because you all know that we've gotten our first right score and our second one is February the 5th. And so we are going to do a little bit more, going to a little more depth of how to score and what they're looking for, and looking at our children's writing and looking at the different domains of writing. So this PLC is for that purpose. I'll let Ms. Chapman and Ms. Hall speak as to what their expertise is and why they are going to help with this PLC.
Okay, I'm going to start with ideas and content. All right, it's real similar to how the 6+1 writing traits, we just organize the presentation to be directly correlated with how Right Score sets up, like the tabs for when you're looking to see where the students are meeting and where they're not meeting, so that you can look at the tabs and see exactly where they are with the ideas, sentence structure, organization. So it's the same thing we've always been learning about writing. It's just organized exactly like how Right Score does it, since that's the writing program that we're going to be using. So we're going to start with focus and depth development. What are ideas and content? Okay, that's just what we talk about when we talk about focus. The idea, you know, the main idea of the paper, what the paper is going to be about from the beginning to the end. The ideas and content are what you have to say, the reason for writing your paper, and everything about your writing begins with that message. We talk a lot about that in reading about the main idea, and it's just sometimes hard to get that message across in writing when the students are writing their own paper. But we just have to extend that over to the writing, that they have to keep a main idea and not, you know, sometimes they'll start off writing about maybe a hot air balloon, and before you know it, they're talking about riding a horse. So we have to just stick to that main topic, that main idea. Where do they get the ideas? Use the ideas that are floating all around you. Personal experiences, something you know a lot about, something important to you, an idea from your imagination, or something that interests you. At the beginning of Writers Workshop, at the beginning of the year, I know a lot of grade levels do this. I know we do it in 4th grade. When you're setting up your Writers Workshop and doing your rituals and routines, you always want to, and I'll pass these out for some people, you always want to have at least one little mini lesson that focuses on what do I do when I can't think of a topic to write about, or, you know, what do I do when I need ideas to write about and I'm not so sure of what to write about. So you want to give them some time to brainstorm writing ideas, and we, in 4th grade, we put it in a writing journal. So you want to model that for them like on a chart paper, so you may want to put some of your ideas of what you like to write about, and then give them 10, 15 minutes, however long you want, to jot down some of their ideas to write about. And because you know you're going to have those students that, I don't know what to write about, I don't know what to write about, and at that time you can say, go to your journal and pull up, you know, your idea page, and then you can look for something to write about. Okay, once you have chosen a topic, when you're dealing with focus, you want to ask a few questions. Is my topic too large? Do I know enough about this topic to share it with someone else? And what is the point? That's going back to that main idea. What is the point of my paper going to be? All right, rule number 1, you want to keep the topic small. If it's too large, the reader will get lost, and it's going to be harder for them to keep focus. The example that we have here is like if your topic was animals, that would be very broad, you know, because you're going to be talking about every kind of animal, or a lot of different, you know, they may talk about snakes, frogs, you know, turtles. So they want you to be more specific when you're dealing with focus, because it's easier to keep focused on your topic when you get down to a specific topic under animals, not just animals. Like, I'm sorry. Like, instead of just having animals, you know, go down to birds and be even more specific than birds. What type of bird? An eagle. And you even may want to be more specific than an eagle, you know. Like, a bald eagle, or maybe even more specific about the eagle, how the eagle became the national bird. I want to say one more point about this. I know in our grade level we do a lot with like astronauts, explorers, things like that, and it's okay to do, like, if you want to do eagles, or you want to do astronauts, or you want to do, you know, you don't want to do take it and do a specific, like how they did eagles, and then they said how the eagle became the national bird. You can do like astronauts. Here's an example of what we do in 4th grade. We'll do a topic like astronauts, and we'll allow them the choice to choose, you know, what astronaut they want to do, because you want to give them that choice, because they're going to be more motivated to write if it's someone that they desire to write about. So we'll pull up like a little video, or give them some picture books to look at and let them research a little bit about astronauts, and then let them choose who they want to write about. Or you can do the same thing with animals, or, you know, whatever topic. And then when they feel like they have some ownership of what they get to research and write about, that'll keep them a little more motivated about the writing. But if you do decide to do like astronauts or a topic like that, you want to be specific of what you're wanting them to write about. Because I think the point of it being too large is if you just say eagles, they may be writing about the feathers of the eagle, they might be writing about the claws, they might be writing about the eagle fighting with the hawk. I mean, you know, it's just too much. So if you are going to do something like eagles, astronauts, you know, planes, I think you need to have an organizer that lets them know exactly, you know, what you're looking for. Like, what was the astronaut's childhood like? That's specific. You know, let them know exactly what you're looking for about that astronaut. What is the astronaut famous for? You know, in that second paragraph. So if you're going to if it's going to be a little bit more broader, you want to let them know exactly what you're looking for. Okay, do I know enough about my topic? If my topic is how the eagle became the national bird, do I know a lot about the topic? And do I know details that most people wouldn't? And if not, do I know where to find interesting details? Okay, so for narrative and persuasive, you know, that's basically going to be information that they already have in their brains from experiences and things that they already know. Informational, that's where the research comes in, and we allow them to do the research to find that information they need. So we would just have to make sure that we had the resources available for them to find that information. Of course, on the writing test and the assessments that we give, informational is a little different, because they still gear those assessments towards information that they would already have in their brains or experiences where they wouldn't need to actually go research. Okay, what's the point? Keep in mind to know your audience, have a clear plan for your writing. That's with your, you know, with any genre. They're going to have to brainstorm, have some kind of, you know, some kids use the concept map, some people just jot down notes, but they're going to have to have some kind of way of planning. They have to plan. Like we always tell them in 4th, like, don't even start writing. Don't even think about writing. Like, we don't even use a piece of line paper. Like, we even used to start out until they got the gist of it, just giving them a piece of white paper that didn't have any lines, because you don't even need to think about picking up a pencil and writing anything until you plan. You know, that's so important. And answer any questions. The last one was answer any questions that the reader might have. Like, go ahead and think about some questions that your reader may have before you even start writing the piece. And that can be part of the planning process. Like, in your planning, you may want to ask some questions that you think the reader may have about those eagles, you know, and part of your planning may be to answer those questions. All right, putting it all together. Choose a topic that you will enjoy. That's important, because if you make them write about something that they're not interested in, they're going to shut down. They're not going to write. That's when you're going to get those 1 or 2 sentences, and they're going to look at you and say, I'm finished. I don't have anything else to write. I don't know what to write about. Narrow your topic to a controllable size. That helps you stay focused and keep that main idea throughout. and add interesting details that, that may surprise people, and have a clear plan for your writing. Okay, and Lena will help with organization.
Okay.
And variety. What is sentence fluency? Okay, fluency is when something moves with smoothness and ease, and the sentence plus its fluency will make the paper flow together. And that's one issue we see a lot when the sentences are run-ons or they're fragments. Even though the ideas are good, the paper doesn't flow. So this is an important aspect to the writing, to make sure that the ideas are able to, the good ideas that they have are able to get across in the paper. All right, variety is good. You want to make sure that they have a lot of variety. I know on the, you could tell on the right score tabs when we saw the assessment results that a lot of the students needed to have more variety. And what they mean by variety, you go to the next one, is they wanted to have different types of sentences. I know I noticed a large amount of students that needed more variety. I think a lot of them are doing declarative sentences. They're not using the interrogatives, or they're not using the questions. They're not using exclamatory sentences. They're just using the declarative sentences. So they're really wanting to use different... Okay. They want to use varied length sentences. I'm sorry, you can go back, Jen. I'm sorry, I skipped ahead. You can go back to the... I'm sorry, I skipped ahead, but it's okay. They want them to use varied length sentences, like get more into those compound sentences. I know a lot of our students have trouble with the comment usage, so we have to do more with teaching them about how to use the commas and using those compound sentences, because a lot of times they want to just use the short and snappy sentences. So we have to get them to use those lengthy sentences. Thank you. And then what I was talking about with the different types of sentences, the declarative, interrogatives, exclamatory, imperatives, just using those different types so that they can score higher in the variety area for the types of sentences.
Before she goes on, I just want to let you know that this PowerPoint can be used in your classroom when you get ready to teach the different domains for writing. We'll send you a copy of the PowerPoint, so if you're going to show the kids the different types of sentences that they can use and give them examples, you can use this PowerPoint to actually show them and to teach the different domains.
And these are also taught through the daily oral language books too, all the types of, like the ones that we have through the school.
All right. I'm going to talk to you all about word choice and the importance of our students using, good word choices in their writing. First of all, word choice is a trait that shows the power of language. A lot of times our students get so caught up in their ideas or the organization that the word choice takes a back.
Just give theirs to 5th grade, and 4th grade give yours to 3rd grade, and 5th grade give yours to 4th grade. So it's just going to go down. You all give yours to them. Okay. Y'all bring yours over here.
Right, 3rd to 5th, right?
Yep. Hello. Our final portion is conference.
But Anthony Child got 2s all the way across and then a 1 in convention. I'm sorry.
Okay, we're going to move on to student-teacher conferences now. All right, there's 3 major elements to consider when you're dealing with conferences, and those elements are logistics, accountability, and the portion that I'm going to focus on in my presentation is focusing on ideas. The most important thing when you're starting your conferences with the students is to make sure that you have scheduled meeting times for each student. You'll want to have an area in your room where you post your schedule, and you have the certain days where you meet with each student. Whatever days you decide to meet, that's up to your discrepancy, but just make sure that every student knows what days that they will have a scheduled conference with you, and make sure those days and the students' names are posted. You'll want to make sure you have a plan for emergency conferences, and I had to learn this one the hard way, just from doing it myself. Like, I know that this has happened to you because it happens to me every year when you're sitting there and you're trying to have a conference and then I need to meet with you. I need to know how to spell this word. I need to meet with you. And then you have to have a plan for that, because if you don't, then it's just constant disruption. And then you're constantly giving the lecture of, be respectful to this student because they were respectful to you when I was having a conference with you, and now you're not being respectful while they're having their time to work on their paper. So you'll want to have some type of plan in place. What I do in my room is we have these little cups, and every student has a cup. And if I'm meeting with students that day, they know that I have to meet with my scheduled people first. And then if they need to meet with me, they can just, the little cups have been passed out, and they can stick their popsicle stick in their cup. And then they know that if time allots, when I get done meeting with my scheduled conferences, then I will call them back to meet. For the plan B is that if we don't get to meet, if time runs out and we have to move on to another subject area and I haven't had a chance to meet with you that day, they all have sticky notes in their little group area, and they need to write down a note of what they needed to speak with me so badly about so that they don't forget. And then either on their next conference meeting day or with the stick in the cup when we have time to meet the next time, they don't forget what they needed the conference about, because we know, like, sometimes if you don't give them that instant gratification of meeting with you right that second, and then you come back and you say, well, what do you need to meet with me about? I don't know. So, just let them go ahead and jot it down. Just have a plan in place so that you can show them that this is important.
What do you have them do with the sticky note? Give it to you or put it on their writing?
Writing, in their writing folder.
Okay.
Keep everything, in that one spot. Peer conferences. This helps out. I don't advise to do this at the beginning of the year because you want them to have the rituals and routines of how a conference works, what you're looking for as you conference, like how it goes when they come back with you in a conference, what you're going to talk about, getting used to looking at the rubric, what the rubric entails. But once you start identifying students that are exceeding in writing and doing well in writing, then you can kind of have some mini U's that can do some little conferences, and you can start pairing your students up, and you can have, and that's part of the handout that you have. It's one of the ones we included in the handout. Is the writing checklist. And first, of course, the student has to go through their own work and do a self-check. And once they've completed a self-check, they can be paired with another student who can have, they can have a peer check or a friend check. And what that does is, what it does is that students that have already mastered certain skills in writing, it gives them a little boost to be able to help the other students, and then it kind of takes a little of the work off you, because if you have 25 kids or however many you have, 28 kids, and you're trying to work all those conferences in, if you have a kid who's super good with organizing or, staying on topic, or if you have several that are, you can kind of use those students as mini U's to be the peer tutors, and then by the time you get to those students who need you in the conference, maybe they've already helped them master a couple of those little skills, and then you can focus on something else. So I've been using that in my room, and it's helped with a few of mine that are good with writing. Accountability. You want to provide each student with a rubric at the beginning of the writing task. And you want to go over the rubric with the students. Like we all know, like we joke about it a lot in 4th grade with the Common Core language. Sometimes we'll look at it and I'll have to go ask Ms. Lewis, also, okay, like what's this say? Because the language is just so much. So for us to give the students a rubric and say, okay, well, follow this rubric and make sure your writing matches this rubric, it's kind of like, it's kind of like sitting in Mandarin class and like we hear those videos and we're like, what's going on? What are they saying? So you want to go over the rubric with them, and you want to do a fun activity with it, not just, listen to it being read aloud, because it's still like, over their heads. So we do a breakdown activity. This has been successful. We did it when the Common Core rolled out in last year, the year before last, and we've done it this year, or last year and this year. But you can take, this is just an idea. You may find other ideas, I'm sure, on the internet, or Teachers Pay Teachers. But you could just take a rubric for whatever genre, if you're doing informational, if you're, doing narrative writing, whatever rubric you're doing, and you can like break up the rubric, like cut it up or however you want to do it. You can give it to different groups. You can let them read it, break down the elements, and let them read about the elements and put it in their own words. What is it asking you to do? And then you can let that group present to the class. It's like a jigsaw, but you just kind of cut it up and let it like separate it so it's not so formal, and kind of let them break it down and explain to the class in student-friendly language, what is this asking me to do right now? So it's a way to, and then when they realize, when they see it saying, well, students will write with the conventions of the English language, and then you have somebody over here saying, oh, I'm just going to write incomplete sentences and put a period at the end and put a question mark. Oh, I can do that, that it doesn't sound so foreign. So it makes it a little bit, the task seem a little bit more attainable. Make it mandatory for your students to bring the rubrics with them to the conference area along with all their writing materials. And that's what Ms. Woodall was saying about, where to keep it. Make them keep all their notes and everything together in that folder. Make sure they bring that rubric with them, because you want them to start using that rubric, like they can't, like it's a life preserver, like they can't do anything without that rubric, because you want them to constantly be referring to that rubric. So make them bring that with them, and you want to have it posted. You want to have, have the student work posted so that they can see what's a meets paper, what's a does not meet paper, so they'll have that in the room to refer to. And that's where that would go in your works, go on your works in progress board, where they can see, okay, here's my rubric my teacher gave to me. I now understand what it means. And if I want to have my paper meet, this is what it would look like. If my paper's not where it needs to be, this is what it's looking like. And they can kind of put their paper up there and take a look and see where theirs is at. You want to document each conference you have with the student in your data notebook, and make sure that you have a form where you're putting what their next steps are. I know a lot of people use the sticky note method, because that started with America's Choice, and a lot of people still use that. That's the one that I use. I know a lot of people still use that method. Some people may use a checklist where you check off what they need to work on. But don't just give it to the student. Keep a record of it for yourself, because we know they're not always going to keep up with their stuff, and they're going to lose it sometimes, and they're going to come back with you, and you're going to say, well, what were you working on? And then if you don't have a record of it, you have to start all the way back over with that piece, and it just loses time. You're not able to progress to the next element. So make sure you have a record of what that student's working on, and make sure they also have a record, either on a sticky note, a checklist, some type of form that they know what they're working on, so that when they're working independently, they know what they're supposed to be doing without having you right there beside them, and they know what you're going to be looking for the next time you meet with them. Okay, so for the specific part of conferencing, that was just the logistics and accountability part, but the specific element that I'm going to be speaking to today about conferencing is the focusing part on the ideas. So the parts are the title creation, topic check, use of graphic organizers, and the revision checklist. A lot of these little ideas can be used at any type of conference, even if you're working with conventions, organization, but I'm just going to speak, Jana's going to talk to you more about those, but I'm just going to talk to you about the focus on ideas. To me, the title creation is very important when you're working on your focus of your paper, because the students can always refer back to that title to make sure that they're staying on topic. So we try to work with the students a lot and forth about, creating a good title that's going to encompass the main idea of your paper, that's going to make sure that you stay on topic, a title that's going to help you focus that paper. One activity that we do is the topic check, and it can be, again, it's just a suggestion. I'm sure there are a million different activities on Teachers Pay Teachers and things like that. But one thing that we do, and I'll do this in a little small, you can do it in a small group or with a one-on-one conference, or sometimes I'll have a couple of kids back for a little mini conference. You can have students write their title on just a little popsicle stick, and it don't have to be colored. And sometimes they might have to go on the back depending on how big their title is, but they can usually get it across. And if you're working on a paper, you can actually have them, let's just say if it was information, if it's procedural writing, how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You can actually have them go down each sentence of their paper and test that title against that sentence and make sure, does this sentence fit with this title? Does this sentence go with this title? And if they put something in there about, my dog loves sandwiches, that doesn't have anything to do about how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. So you know you need to revise, you need to go ahead and subtract that sentence out, take it out. So that's just a quick little, easy way, and they think that's like fun, especially in fourth grade, because, we don't really go outside unless it's us, so they got a little manipulative, so, it's just a little something extra. So, but it's actually checking their work to see, is my topic, am I still focused throughout my paper? Use of graphic organizers. I included one that I use a lot in my class, and it's that hamburger writing one. We know that in a perfect world, our children would come to us and know how to write in paragraph form, and we would have to teach how to indent and how to, write in paragraph form and all of that, because they would already know how to do that. But this one, I actually use when they, we use this one throughout the whole writing process. But what I'll do is when I see an issue with a student not being able to stay focused with their writing, if you can, we in fourth grade, we always model the whole piece first. Like, we'll do a topic of our own, model the whole paper, and then let them have a shot at doing their own paper. Now, once you model, you'll have like 3, 4, however many, depending on your students, that can take off and they'll be able to do it. But then, of course, there'll be some that still need you to do it for, step by step with them. So at that time, when I see, okay, this student still they don't have the gist of it, that's when I would have a conference with that student, and with that, whatever topic we have, if it's, I'll just go back to the one we used earlier with astronauts, and if it's the first, let's say the first paragraph, what was the astronaut's childhood like? That's where we would start with this, and we would start from scratch with our first idea paragraph. And we would make this paragraph together. I would say, okay, that's your topic, your topic sentence is going to be about it could be a question, because you're forming a paragraph at this point, And I would say, what did you learn in your research about it? And let them do the talking and form that together, but you're showing them how to form that together. And you're making sure that every single sentence is still, even if you have, and you may have to, get one of these out too. You may have to use both methods and put it on there. What was my astronaut's childhood like? And say, okay, you just wrote that he grew up in wherever, Nashville, Tennessee. Okay, is that answering, does that go with this? Did the sentence you write go with the title that you're having for this paragraph, for this topic, or the topic sentence? You can use it for whatever you need. And make sure it's still matching. And then, like some students, I have to go through all 5 paragraphs like this. Like I've actually printed front and back, introduction paragraph, idea 1, idea 2, idea, 3, and then conclusion. And we have to go through every single paragraph like this. And then they have to write it on their own paper. And some I have to model one, and then they can do the rest on their own. You know what I mean? It just depends on the kids. Because, they don't come to us always knowing how to even write in the paragraph form. So you just have to meet them and try to get them where they need to be. And then the last one is revision checklist. And that's just a checklist to help them to revise. And that's, again, going on to the piggybacking on that, the focus. Some of these are not just strictly for focus, but a lot of them have to do with focus, like, is my piece focused? Does it stick to the topic throughout the piece? Is it clear? Does it say what it needs to say? So this is just one that you can use to help, you can meet with them in the conferences to make sure that it's a way for them to look at their writing and to self-assess. And I think that's, and then Jana?
Okay. Well, before I start with the conventions during a conference, I want to stress the fact that you're only given, a certain amount of time, like 3 to 5 minutes, really, to conference if you're trying to, have a conference meet with more than one student in a, a time frame. So conventions are important.